Hello my friends and welcome to a new video. Today I will do a review of the Turtle Beach KD3. The KD3 comes in at €349. If you subscribe on their website to their newsletter, you can also get 10% reduction on that price. For that price you will get the wheelbase itself, the steering wheel, the pedals and a desk clamp. The wheelbase measures 15 by 15 by 13 cm. It's made out of aluminium and it is the first wheelbase that I know of to be of cylindrical shape. Just like the first VelocityOne Race, this KD3 is quite nice to look at. It features some flashy yellow highlights on the housing, which I appreciate a lot. It's a good example for other manufacturers to show it doesn't need a lot to liven up the exterior of a wheelbase. In addition to this, you have the large red power button on the top and the Xbox activation button on the side. It features 3 more buttons right under the Xbox One, and those would be the only point of criticism for the build quality of the wheelbase. They feel a bit like the buttons of a 1980s Game & Watch handheld game. The front of the wheelbase houses the all-metal quick release, which is flanked by a beautiful RGB ring that can be used for revving game telemetry. On the top of the front, there is a very impressive 2x3 cm color display that enables you to change settings and also displays game telemetry. Again here, instead of just making a little square cutout in the front, they actually integrated it nicely in a circular rev bar. The back of the wheelbase houses 4 different USB-C peripheral slots and a USB-C to USB-A connection for connection to your console or PC. It also features a very handy system to elevate the wheelbase in an angle, on the fly. This helps fine-tuning immensely. It's the first time that I have seen it implemented in a wheelbase like this. The steering wheel measures 30 cm and is almost round. Both shape and size are for me the best choice as a standard steering wheel. It features 8 illuminated buttons, a D-pad and 2 rolling encoders, with the right one usable for the operation of the menu. At the back there is the all-metal quick release and 2 flanking magnetic shifters. Something which I was also very pleasantly surprised about was the quality of the rim that they used here. So it is not made out of any leather, it's a budget steering wheel. It's made out of rubber, but it is the nicest rubber to touch that I have ever felt in a cheap steering wheel before. It's very pleasant, even without gloves, to handle this steering wheel. So very good. In fact, I would say that I had the leather steering wheel before, and this one actually feels better to touch than I had with the leather steering wheel. So amazing really. For the rest of the quality of this steering wheel, I have to say again, I am really impressed with what they managed to bring out for such a decent price. Only thing that I would change would be the buttons for the D-pad that they have here. I feel they could be a bit better. They are very loose, I think. But they work without any issue. Also illuminated buttons for a budget wheel. Well, this is really a nice piece. However, there is one thing that I am really a bit worried about, and it was the same with the VelocityOne Race. It's the connection of the quick release itself towards the wheelbase. That it does have some flex on it, so you can move the wheel a bit up and down, I would say, towards the wheelbase. Now, like I said, it's the same with the VelocityOne Race, and it is more situated in the steering wheel itself, how it fits into the quick release or onto the quick release, that causes a bit this flex. Now, when you are driving, of course, you don't notice that a lot, but it can. I'm not saying that it will, but it can be, if you use it a lot, it can cause some disconnections, I think, towards the future with this flex on the steering wheel. So something I think they really should look at also to improve a bit. The pedals are almost completely made out of plastic, apart from the pedal faces. They do seem sufficiently sturdy though. It is a 2-pedal setup without the ability to add a third one, which I think is a missed opportunity, especially because they don't sell the KD3 wheelbase and steering wheel as a standalone, and they offer a package with their H pattern shifter. The brake can be adjusted in position a bit to the left or right, and both pedal faces also offer the possibility to be adapted. The pedal faces themselves are also quite large, which I also appreciate. What is also a nice feature is the adjustability via tensioning up the springs of both accelerator and brake, something which is quite rare in starter pedals. There are, however, no extra springs available to configure them more, but I do think that the current setup already gives a very nice feeling for pedals. The input of your brake and accelerator happens via Hall sensors. There is unfortunately no load cell kit available at this moment. The connection of the pedals happens via USB-C to the wheelbase or directly to PC. The compatibility is on PC and Xbox, and I have to say that it is already quite a list that is supported on Xbox, and for PC, well, my main testing programs being ACC and Taxi Simulator and BeamNG, they are already supported also. Some of the games also support a game telemetry to put it on the display. They have a compatibility list on the Turtle Beach website for the KD3. On Xbox, unfortunately, there is no telemetry being able. You cannot display the telemetry on the display as of yet. Of course, there are always ways around it. I have to again point towards SimHub as a software to drive the display on this wheelbase to do this. But yeah, compatibility already very nice also. So I reviewed the VelocityOne Race not that long ago, few months, and it was the first wheelbase of Turtle Beach. It didn't leave that good of an impression when it came to the racing games, a bit lack of detail, immersion in general. I just couldn't really feel it with that wheelbase. Now with the KD3, a lot has changed. I really believe so. I think they changed the servo motor for this one, but also they fine-tuned the software and the firmware for this base. This results in a lot more detail. Here, for example, on this piece of road, you have a lot of detail coming through, and it intensifies also towards the end, towards the first corner, which is a very nice feeling. You can even feel it in your sim rig when you drive here. The return to center is also very fluent, very snappy. I would say the only point of criticism that I really have towards the driving with this wheelbase is here in the fast long corner, that it doesn't have enough lateral force to really struggle against you. This is something that I miss a bit. But of course, yeah, it is a lighter engine, a lighter motor which is in it. So it is expected, and it's not different with other wheelbases in that particular corner. The curbs also you can feel really nice when you go off-road, very heavy force feedback. Here on the back straight also you have quite a lot of detail, light subtle feeling, and towards the end where you go towards the tunnel you can also feel that it intensifies it, and you again feel it in the frame. Here, woof, you can feel it very nice. When it comes to the steering wheel itself, it feels very nice in hand. I think this size, 30 centimeter, is really a nice size to have. Without gloves it feels good to the touch, but yeah, with gloves you also have enough grip on it. The pedals themselves, I would say they perform good for basic pedals. I got used to them quite quickly for usage, and the fact that you can adapt the springs, that you can compress the springs a bit, it really also helps with giving or making a distinction between the accelerator and the brake. So that's also very, very nice. Driving around in Taxi Simulator with the KD3 is a bit of a lesser experience. The force feedback that you get is very light, even if you turn it all the way up, even if you put some damper on it, it still remains very, very soft to drive with. Now, of course, it's not supposed to be very powerful to drive around with a normal car, but I still would have expected a bit more, especially with the settings turned up like this. Only thing that I can really feel from force feedback are when I go over the speed bumps. But yeah, return to center, for example, of the steering wheels is almost non-existent. So here I would recommend for both, I think it's more the hardware manufacturer to just look at it, how they can optimize the force feedback a bit more for Taxi Simulator. So the KD3 is also compatible with BeamNG, both for the force feedback as the game telemetry. It shows up on the display. The force feedback itself, it feels strong enough. So yeah, 3.2 Newton meter is enough for a game like BeamNG. If you drive with normal cars like this, return to center, so the spring is also very vividly. It's a much more pleasant driving sensation than I had with the Taxi Simulator. Now, when it comes to the details of the force feedback, not a lot. Here I'm on a dirt road, but I don't feel anything about this dirt road. I feel the force of the steering wheel that wants to return to center, but that is it. So it really lacks a bit of more of the details that you get from going off-road. But yeah, games like BeamNG, they are not really designed to have the greatest force feedback, so that might be a bit of a problem too. Let's see how it crashes. Well, first, no force feedback whatsoever with this crash. So that's a bit of a downside. I think here also they need to optimize a bit. Yeah, it's completely crashed the car. I think they also need to optimize a bit the different effects, from crashing from the dirt road a bit better to work with the KD3. So yeah, not bad, but much room for improvement still. When it comes to software, well, there is still a lot to do, I think, and especially when it comes to the combination of the software and the firmware and of the device. I really think Turtle Beach should spend some extra attention on this. When we look at the software, it does look really complete. There is the option to launch a telemetry agent to get the data of the game on your display. There is also the ability to update your hardware in the same piece of software, but I would say that the general settings are a bit too few. There are, I think, 4 different settings that you can do within the software to adapt a bit the feeling of your steering wheel, and that is just too little. Firmware wise, I think they did great jumps already when it comes to the force feedback feeling that you have in the game, but there is something that is a bit annoying at this moment. It will get better, I hope. When you go into the menu with on the little screen there, so you can scroll through the menu, but once you go into a menu itself, well, you can't go back, so you're stuck in the menu, and you can go further, but you can't go back. So if I had the color, I can change the color for the display, for example, but I can't. There is no way that I can get out of the menu. Only way that you can get out of the menu is to restart the wheelbase, which is a bit stupid, of course. But I didn't find any buttons here that would take me out of the menu that I was in. Something very weird, but the good thing, this is in all probability software related, firmware related then to the wheelbase, and it will be resolved towards the future. I'm sure of this. When it comes to ecosystem, well, it is a small ecosystem, but at least the people at Turtle Beach understand that it is important to have an ecosystem. They brought out in 2025 a GT steering wheel, which is compatible with the KD3, and also an H pattern shifter, which also doubles up as a sequential shifter and a handbrake. So, well, like I said, very small ecosystem, but what they offer is already a very good start. The KD3, just like the first wheelbase brought out by Turtle Beach, is packed with features you wouldn't expect at this price point. There were plenty of "ooh, that's nice" and "ah, that's clever" when I pulled it out of the box to start this review. This is contrasting compared to the plastic cheapness of the Thrustmaster T598 or the soberness of the Moza wheelbases that hover in this price point. My hopes built up even more when I tried out the KD3 in ACC, as it was a much smoother and much more enjoyable experience than I gave it credit for after having reviewed the original VelocityOne Race. But then, in both sim tourist games BeamNG and Taxi Simulator came the disappointment. The drive was, all but immersive in Taxi Simulator, and it missed entire chunks of force feedback in BeamNG. The good thing about this, well, it's not a hardware limitation. It has proven that in ACC. This is nothing that can't be fixed with some extra love and affection to the software driving it. The no return bug in the wheelbases menu is also something that can be ironed out via an over-the-air upgrade. When we look deeper at the hardware part of the KD3, I see some items that can be improved, like the old school button quality, but because this is a budget set, I can't really hold it against them. What I do think needs to be fixed is the play I have on the steering wheel, where it connects to the quick release. That being said, I do think that Take 2 of Turtle Beach has been an improvement already from their first release wheelbase package, and if they succeed to get their programmers lined up on this project, I'm sure it will be a successful challenger to the competition in the starter segment of simulated driving wheelbases. Thank you all for watching. I hope you had something from this video. Leave a like if you did, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye bye.